Is the new drift tuning upgrade in GTA Online actually worth it? As a summary of my past few videos on this topic, I thought I'd make a quick roundup video outlining how the new drift tuning upgrade works and why I think it is definitely worth the money for most players if you're ever interested in giving it a go, so let's get into it. So first off, a quick breakdown of how drift tuning actually works. This is basically a complete conversion of your car from its original model to another one with altered handling metadata that makes it much easier to drift. So whenever the drift tuning upgrade is applied, it basically switches your car model over to its drift counterpart and converts the car to all-wheel drive if it wasn't already, and then sends 10 to 20% of the engine's power to the front wheels. Additionally, this drift tuning upgrade softens up your car's suspension for more grip and also massively increases steering angle. As for logistics, this drift tuning upgrade is only available for the 8 cars shown on screen. Now if you head to this little laptop in the LS car meet, there you can see these exact same cars and links to websites where you can purchase those cars if you don't own them already. And then once you own one of these 8 cars, you can then head into the mod shop at the LS car meet and equip the drift tuning there for $200,000. Now if you ever decide to remove the drift tuning, it will cost you $50,000 to do so, and then you're going to need to spend another $200,000 if you ever want to equip the tuning again. Now in my drift tuning guide, I did explain a lot of things most people don't know about this new upgrade, so I would recommend checking out that video for more insight. To briefly summarize it here, basically this drift tuning upgrade is very misleading. While the game implies that existing power upgrades will be overridden by the drift tuning, they actually aren't. Therefore, I would highly recommend that you fully upgrade your engine, transmission, and turbo before equipping the drift tuning upgrade, as your car will be much faster than if it wasn't pre-upgraded beforehand. The only other upgrade that I think is pretty important for your overall build is the suspension, which I would recommend lowering as much as possible to increase steering responsiveness and limit body roll. And really beyond those major upgrades, you can go nuts personalizing your build the way you want to. So really, while the drift tuning upgrade seems to cost only $200,000 on the surface, you're gonna have to spend another $100,000 or so on the various power and suspension upgrades to fully unlock the potential of your car when drift tuning is applied. When this is combined with all of the other upgrades you decide to put on your build, combined with the original price tag of the car, which most likely is upwards of $1 million, building a drift car with this new drift tuning upgrade can get pretty pricey. Naturally, that then begs the question, is this upgrade actually worth it for your personal vehicles? In my opinion, yes, I definitely think so. I'm going to spend the next few minutes going over a few scenarios where I think the drift tuning upgrade can be either really fun or helpful, and I'll also cover some other reasons and features about it that further justify my claim. Now obviously this is all predicated on my own personal preference, but I really do feel like my reasoning is pretty universal and will apply for most of you watching too. First off, some people might be hesitant to spend money on drift tuning for their personal vehicles because technically you can just choose a stock drift car in the new drift races that Rockstar added. Now while this definitely is an option, these stock drift cars won't handle nearly as smoothly or be as fast as a personal vehicle that's been fully upgraded and lowered beforehand. In my drift tuning guide, I did show that a pre-upgraded drift car is almost 3 seconds faster in a straight line drag run compared to one that wasn't fully upgraded before the drift tuning was equipped. So this is pretty indicative of a hefty boost in power when your car is fully upgraded before drift tuning is equipped. Additionally, in part 2 of my drifting tutorial that covered how to do each of the new drift races with a controller camera, I did notice that the stock drift cars weren't nearly as easy to control as my fully upgraded ones. Now while you can account for the lack of power of these stock cars by driving it more aggressively and staying on the throttle for longer periods of time, the lack of suspension upgrades meant that the car had so much more body roll and wasn't nearly as easy to toss around and throw lots of angle without understeering everywhere. Therefore, I think to maximize both power and handling to be as successful as possible in these new drift races, which can actually get you some decent money during double money events, and especially if you're in bigger lobbies, equipping the drift tuning on your own personal vehicle and upgrading it beforehand is definitely worth it. Another major reason why the drift tuning upgrade is definitely worth the money is because you can use your custom drift car in free mode. And obviously if you guys have ever done any free mode drifting with your friends, you know it is super fun and satisfying. Being able to throw down smooth tandems with minimal effort is very fun, in my opinion at least. Plus of course you guys have the freedom of hitting whatever drift spots you like around the map without being confined to the drift races that were added with this new update. Of course, having your own personal drift car is awesome for overall freedom and for getting in some solo and tandem practice wherever and whenever you want to. This leads into another point regarding the skill gap. The drift tuning upgrade makes it super easy to learn how to drift smoothly. While obviously drifting with low grip tires is generally more rewarding because of the skill and practice required to master that form of drifting, there's no denying the fact that the new drift tuning makes things a lot more accessible to ordinary players who've never attempted to drift before. Rather than spending days or weeks learning the theory behind countersteering and using the mid-drive speed boost, the new drift tuning can be mastered pretty quickly with just a little bit of free mode practice and a few drift races. Please don't take this as me saying that drift tuning is supposedly the superior or a better way of learning how to drift. Rather, I'm really just explaining here that drift tuning lowers the skill gap and generally makes things a little bit more accessible for the wider GTA community. Another perk of the drift tuning upgrade that you probably didn't notice was the camera change in both first and third person. Originally, to keep the camera from being all jerky while you were drifting, you would always have to manually adjust it with the right stick to keep the camera aimed where you wanted it to. But now, with the drift tuning upgrade, the camera will actually turn based on the direction that the car is traveling, rather than staying aimed towards the front of the car as it normally is. This helps a ton in keeping third person drifting looking smooth, but also makes first person drifting a lot easier too. While the field of view settings do need some work, it's a lot easier now to gauge proximity to obstacles and keep longer drifts going while you're in first person. While this isn't a super major feature, it definitely is a nice perk of the drift tuning upgrade that's kind of like the icing on the cake. I figured the best way to wrap up this video is to talk about how drifting actually feels with the new drift tuning upgrade. Honestly, in my opinion, it just feels good. Obviously, it's not 100% perfect. I mean, the all-wheel drive system can make these cars feel a bit finicky, especially in lower speed and tighter drifts because they want to go all over the road, and the spongy suspension can lead to marginally more understeer. Plus, these cars definitely do feel a little bit slower and heavier when the drift tuning is applied, but on the whole, I do still think it feels really smooth. The power that's needed to keep decently fast and long slides going is there. The angle helps a ton in throwing many different types of entries, and the brake balance makes left foot braking extremely easy and smooth, which makes for super satisfying tandems. Plus, the all-wheel drive system does help a lot more in snow drifting than you might think, which will definitely be helpful for the next couple of weeks while snow is in GTA Online. Overall, I think the drift tuning system is a pretty unique solution for drifting in that it feels a bit more realistic and satisfying than some 5M mods I've tried, where basically the cars have like 20,000 horsepower and hold 90 degrees of angle just to overcome the traction control physics in this game. I think it's a lot better than some of those mods I've seen. It's not a perfect solution, but I still think it's a really good attempt by Rockstar. So hopefully all of the aforementioned scenarios and reasons help justify why I think the new drift tuning upgrade is definitely worth the money if you're ever interested in upgrading one of your own cars with it. It's just generally a fun feature that makes drifting a lot easier, more accessible, and super smooth for most players who've ever wanted to give drifting a try, at least based on my own experience and research with it, which of course I am just kind of summarizing here and injecting some of my other personal opinions. As always, if you want some more detailed information about how the new drifting upgrades actually work, as well as how to actually drift with these new upgrades, I will have all of my videos I've made about those topics linked in the description, so definitely go and give those a look. As always, feel free to let me know your thoughts about the drift tuning upgrade down below in the comments of whether or not you agreed with my reasoning and any other reasons you might have behind why you think the upgrade is worth it. And also, while you're at it, feel free to drop a like on this video and consider subscribing to my channel to see more great GTA 5 drifting content coming very soon. As always, I hope you guys are having a great holiday season so far. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.